Hey guys, Andy here. I'm going to do a video with the Skull Shaver Pro. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you half of my head shaved completely dry. I'm just going to do it right now. And then the other half I'm going to do wet. Now I did a similar video with the Remington RX5, but in that one, when I did the wet side, I used shaving cream. This time I'm just going to jump in the shower and use it without any cream to show you that you can do it, just as easily without any sort of shaving cream or foam or anything like that. Let's go. So I'll do this side first, and I'll do it dry on this side. I have let my hair grow out far more than I normally would. Again, this is to test. I did it with the Remington RX5 to see if it can handle about like a week and a half worth of growth. So I wouldn't normally recommend letting it grow out this long, just because it takes a little longer to shave. But if you do, you're gonna see that it's still possible to do it. You will just have to go a little slower. Like when I do it, if I do it every day or every second day, I can kind of just go like pretty quick. But when it's like this long, you kind of go like this sort of speed. And with the Remington RX5, I found I had to kind of go in circles a little bit, because if I went just like this, it would kind of pull on the hair. But if I went in circles, it was fine. So we're gonna see if the same thing happens with the Skull Shaver Pro or if it's fine. Let's go. So right off the bat, one thing I noticed is as I'm going like in lines like this, like back and forwards, rather than in circles, this, as in the Skull Shaver, is not actually pulling on my hair. So the Remington, when I did that, it was definitely like tugging on the hair, and it kind of hurt a little bit, but going in circles fixed it. With this, I'm not getting that problem at all. So this definitely has that going for it. So I'm gonna try it in circles now, just because some of these, when it's longer, sometimes you kind of have to alternate between circles versus also doing this. Whatever you have to do to make sure you get all of it, just because it's a bit longer. Let's go. So I was pretty thorough just then. You could see I went over the same area like, 10 or so times. I wanted to make sure it's like super smooth. Normally you don't have to if you're doing it every day or every couple of days. Again, it's just because I've let it grow out. So you can see all the hair here. That side's pretty smooth. I've still got like little bits and pieces. It's kind of hard for me to see on this tiny little screen. So if you're doing it in front of the mirror, you'd be a little more thorough and make sure you don't miss any areas. I'm sure I've missed like little bits there and stuff, but for the most part, that's like pretty decent. Again, I'd fix it up if I was in front of the mirror. The other thing I'll say is if you're gonna let it grow for like this long, for like a week, maybe a week and a half, you will have to empty this out. So I've shown in previous videos how to do that. You basically grab the sides, push up, the whole thing comes up. I'm not gonna do it now or I'll drop hair everywhere, but you probably have to empty this at least once or twice if you're gonna do your whole head, if you've waited a week or two. If you're using this every day, it doesn't really get that many hairs in it because your hairs are really small, so it should be fine. I will empty this out and we'll jump into the shower, and I'll do this side under running water. So I'm not going to use shaving foam, just running water. So you can see here I'm running the water over it. I kind of like to run my fingers through my hair, especially if it's a bit longer, just with the water going through it. I feel like that gives a better shaving experience. I'm sure a bunch of you other guys would say that you do the same thing. It works for you. So it's nice and wet now. Just going to kind of go in circles and back and forth, just like I did with the dry side. Now, the one thing I notice when there's water is it's a hell of a lot smoother. Just the actual shaving experience itself feels a lot smoother. I'm kind of doing it by feel here. Obviously, I've got my eyes closed so I don't get water in them. I'm kind of using my other hand to feel which areas I haven't done yet. Obviously there's a huge amount I haven't done, but that's probably the easiest way if you're not going to do it in front of the mirror, if you're doing it in the bathroom or in the shower, I should say. Just using your other hand to feel like which areas haven't I done yet. So I'm going to pop the cap off, empty it out a little bit. You can kind of just run it under the water. Put that back on, it just snaps onto place. And keep going. Again, using my hand to sort of feel which areas haven't I done. I'm trying to look at the tiny LCD screen on the camera to see, but it's really, really small. I know on the video you can see there's lots of areas that I've missed. Obviously, that would be much easier in front of a mirror, but whatever. The point of this video is to just kind of give you guys a feel. It's not to do a perfect shaving job. So again, using my other hand to see like which areas haven't I gotten. The one problem with doing it in the shower is sometimes the hairs, if they're longer like here, the water kind of makes them lay flat against your head. So you do have to use your hand to sort of push against the grains of the hair to see like which bits have I definitely missed and where is the smooth area. You can see I kind of missed a little bit around the side of my ear. That kind of happens when you're not in front of a mirror. It's very hard to feel that area. But you can kind of just go over it a couple of times and that'll fix it. And you'll see I'll do this in a second. I'll look in front of the camera and see which areas I've missed, and then I'll go back and fix them. And again, it's much, much smoother under the water. Like going over the same area just feels buttery smooth. You don't get that sort of like dryness, which I know some guys with sensitive skin can have if they do it dry. So I'm coming closer to the camera now just so I can sort of see, did I miss anywhere? And yep, I missed right around the ear, obviously. So kind of just going over that. I'm pushing down kind of a little bit hard here just because I really want to make sure I get all of it, which you normally don't need to push that hard. I've still missed a bit, but I couldn't really see that on the camera. And there we go. All right, guys, so that is the Skull Shaver Pro wet versus dry. I think the biggest difference is on the wet side, when you have the water kind of running on it, it feels very smooth. It's like a very smooth shaving. Probably even more so than if you're using shaving cream. So it feels kind of nice. I kind of like the way it feels versus the dry side. Now, however, probably 50% of the time, I'll just do it dry because I can't be bothered jumping in the shower, you know. I'll just kind of whip over it. I think it's a little quicker on the dry side. I feel like it gets not clogged up, but like it takes a little longer when you're doing it on the wet side. It's smoother, but it's not quite as quick, at least not for me. Maybe that's gonna depend on you, different types of hair and stuff like that. Again, this was a bit of a stress test because I've let my hair grow for about a week and a half. Normally I would do it every day. So you saw in the video on both sides, it took a little longer than it normally would. As for how it looks, I've obviously missed some spots because I'm doing it on, like I've only got this little tiny screen that I can look at on the camera, but I think I did a pretty good job. I missed a big spot there, fair enough. Like I'll go and clean that up after the video, but I think both sides feel about the same. Maybe you can say the wet side feels a little smoother, and if you're someone with sensitive skin, I would definitely recommend trying it under the shower or with shaving foam, and maybe putting a bit of lotion on afterwards to make it. I had a guy left a comment, said the back of his neck gets a bit like dry and sensitive afterwards. So try wet, try with shaving foam, and then whack a bit of lotion on the sensitive areas if it's driving you crazy. So do I have a recommendation, wet versus dry, for either this or the Remington RX5? Honestly, like try both and see what works for you. Like I said, about 50% of the time I'll do it dry, 50% I'll do it wet. I kind of just like play it by ear, see how I'm feeling that day. I don't notice like a massive difference, honest to God, but your mileage may vary. I'm just one dude. My skin type is going to be different to you. My hair is going to be different to you. It's going to be thicker or thinner in some areas. So I would say try both. This thing is 100% waterproof. It works pretty well in the shower. You saw me like open it up and clean it out. I only had to do that once. Yeah, give it a go. Try wet, try dry, see what you like. And if you have any questions, as always, leave a comment. I'll jump in there and I'll give you guys an answer, or I'll do a video on it. Peace.